Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games, back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. If you haven't been watching our epic pinball repair series on this Williams Grand Prix, where have you been? We have been working on this for a customer, and he brought it to us with a problem that we have yet to fix. I think this might be the video, though, but we have yet to fix the problem, but we've been systematically working through the game, getting it a little better so that hopefully he won't have any more problems. So we're hoping that this, we've been doing a lot of preventative maintenance. So we worked through the bottom mechanism board, we worked through the back box, we redid the play field, painted up a few worn areas for him, and we've gotten to the point now where we're going to actually work underneath the play field. You see that my flippers are not installed. It's because the bushings here, the flippers were dragging the playfield. You can see the marks, right? We touched that up and try to make it look as good as possible, but the flippers have damaged the playfield. So we're going to work on that in this video too. So we're going to work underneath the playfield, but first I'm going to show you what the game is doing, what the problem is, and then hopefully we can fix it by the end of this video. Hopefully. Okay, so in our first video that we did on this, we kind of troubleshot the problem a little bit by looking through the schematics and trying to figure it out. So if on this game, this is one of the most complex EM pinball machines ever released. It's a fantastic game, Williams Grand Prix. I believe it may have been the last EM Williams released before they moved over to their first solid state or something like that. That may be wrong. I don't see a date on it. It was definitely one of the last ones, because I think the last one was, yeah, that's wrong. The last one was this one. I just happen to have one right here. This is a Williams Lucky 7. This is the solid state version, but there was an EM version as well, and I think that was their last EM. Then before that, there was one called Hot Tip, a horse racing game that they made an EM and a solid state version. But not too long before that, they made this awesome Grand Prix game. But my whole point is it's loaded. So it's got two spinner units. So see the lights? And then one on each side. It's got 3 kick-out saucers. And then it's got 2 full bonus ladders, which is rare. Usually you just have one. So when the game plays, you can play the first ball and then the ball doesn't kick back out. We messed with it a little bit in the very first video, and it kind of seems like it's one of the switches on the left bonus unit, but we didn't actually rebuild the left bonus unit. We just messed with the switch a little bit. But today we're going to rebuild it. So let me show you what it's doing, and it has done for every video that we've done. So everything reset, ball kicks out. Notice we're on 10,000 points. That shouldn't be, I don't think. Maybe, but I don't think it should be. We're getting more points up there. It's running our bonus up. Everything's cool. Lose the ball. Oh, it didn't work that time, but we went back up to 10,000. So we're looking pretty good. And then you get something like that. Now, you might think, oh, it's the switch down here. It's something on the bonus unit, I think, right? So that's what we're going to mess with. So we're going to pop up the playfield and get started on it and see if we can track it down. By doing like we usually do, we're just going to systematically clean everything under the playfield and especially take a look at those bonus units. So you can see how packed the bottom of this playfield is. Lots and lots of goodies. There's relays hiding behind relays. There's a big capacitor there. Look at this big alternating relay. It's got tons of switches on it. Bonus unit, other bonus unit, drop targets, other drop targets, thumper bumpers, kick out, saucer, kickers, and flippers. We're loaded, people. We got it all. Lots of lights to go along with it. Okay, so it looks crazier than it actually is. We're just going to go through and systematically work through it like we said. So I'm going to turn it off, of course, but I'm going to start by cleaning all of the switches on all of these relays down here just to make sure that's all working right. And the way I do it is I use a little file It's not a very aggressive one. You don't want to get in there and eat everything up, because if you tear down those contacts too much, it'll cause you even more problems. You're just trying to clean it. Some people say to spray contact cleaner on them. I don't think that's a good idea. I like physically cleaning the contacts. So I'm going to clean them up. If I see any that are adjusted wrong or something, I'll let you know. But basically, if they're open, when the relay pulls in, they should close. If they are closed, when the relay pulls in, they should open. And then sometimes they go back and forth. There will be a long blade in the middle with smaller ones on each side that touch one way or the other. So we're just making sure nothing looks like it's bent out of shape or not quite touching or not quite opening. But I don't think that'll be the issue. I think the issue is going to be on this bonus unit. But we're starting down here at the bottom. So if I run into anything, I will show you, but then we'll move on to the next thing. Okay, so I started digging through those, and I found a couple of those relays that are down underneath that board, the ones that are hard to get to. They weren't adjusted right. So this alternator relay was basically, whenever it pulled in, it was always stuck one way. So that's why I believe the right bonus unit was never working. The alternator relay, when it was pulling in, it would just, like it was, there's two switch blades, and it's supposed to, when it pulls in, go to the other side and touch the other switchblade. It was just stuck touching one side, and whenever it pulled in, it just kept touching that side and wouldn't touch the other side. So I think that's why it wasn't going from the left unit to the right unit. And I had mentioned before, either in this video or in another one, that I believe that the ball count would have something to do with that. And sure enough, the alternator relay should be pulled in by the ball count unit. So it looks like that's happening, but when the alternator relay pulls in, it doesn't turn the switch over like it should. It just keeps it connected to one way. So I think that would explain why we're always getting the left bonus unit activated and we never see the right bonus unit do anything. Now there's also a delay relay that seems like it's always open. So it is right here. It's just one switch. And so it looks like that delay relay, whoa, there we go. That delay relay should open so it looks like that would keep the top eject relay from working or something like that. So you might get the ball stuck up there. I don't know. We'll have to look into that too. And then that would also have something to do with the out-hole relay. So this delay relay, this switch on the delay relay is also tripping. So I've got it adjusted right now where it's closed and then it opens whenever the relay pulls in, so that may fix the whole thing. So this is the delay relay. See how the switch is open? Right? And then when this pulls in, it stays open. That ain't right. It should be closed, and then when this pulls in, it opens. See how it's not changing position? So that's misadjusted. This is the alternator relay that was messed up. So it's just bent all to crap. So now when it pulls in, that middle blade moves over back and forth like it should. So I think that may have been the whole problem with the ball thing. This must have been, I must have done some of this though when I was cleaning it, because this must have been working a little bit better, or it wouldn't have done, I don't believe, the little bit that it was doing for us. So I think I've got all those right. Next up, we've got our drop targets. Okay, so these are the Williams ones that were before their solid state ones. Their solid state ones aren't that great, but these ones on their EMs were pretty good. They're big old fat drop targets, about that wide, and they're on this little bar. So when it gets hit up top, it knocks that back, and then this falls because of that spring back there. And watch what it does to the switches. So you have one switch, two switch, three switches. So it falls, closes the top switch, opens the next switch, and then closes the bottom switch. Okay. Now it's upside down right now, so it's not quite as smooth as it should be, but Right. Okay, but look at this one. It's screwed up. Like, that ain't right. That ain't right. So they've got it where the blade of this middle one is above this bar. So when that falls, it never closes this one, and it never opens that one. So that's going to cause you all kinds of problems. So how should that be? This blade, if I push it up, I might be able to do it easier. This blade should be under it. There we go. So it should be like that. So now, when it falls, closes the top one, opens the next one, closes the next one. Right? So I'm going to go look and see what that would have messed up if it was like that. So the 4 drop targets are called A, B, C, and D, and so let's just look at A. So this is the switch that's closed normally, and this switch is open normally. And if you see, they're tied into the 1,000-point relay. It goes up a little higher. Boop, boop. 1,000-point relay. Okay. So the way it works is there's a target relay here, right? So if it hasn't been open, then it's closed. This goes up and connects through the out-hole relay. So after the ball's been kicked out of the out-hole. So basically the way they've got it set up is this A target switch. As it falls, you saw how it opened this switch and then closed this switch. If they're both closed at the same time, you get 1,000 points. And then it should hit the bottom and open the one. And then you no longer get 1,000 points. It's just the weirdest setup. So it appears that there's like a little timing thing going on there. So if this stayed closed and this stayed closed, it would lock your 1,000-point relay on. So that's probably what's going on if that drop target were to be dropped. But we fixed it. One less thing. So you can see here what I'm talking about. So this one's open. It's up. This one's open. This one's closed. This one's open. Okay. So the blue and red and the brown and yellow, if they're connected together, it turns on the 1,000-point relay. The 1,000-point relay pulls in the 1,000-point reel. See now they have a jumper wire between the two legs of the switches. So this one's always closed, this one's always open. So when you hit it, it starts falling, and this one's closed and this one's still closed just because of timing. Bam, you get your 1,000 points. Turns on the 1,000-point relay. But then it continues to fall and opens this one. So this wire is no longer connected to this wire. Right? And it turns off the 1,000-point relay. So the way they had it was this was up over here, and that's pretty easy to do actually. And so this falls, and what is our problem? Now they're both closed permanently. So your 1,000-point relay is going to lock on. But only when you drop the drop target. That's the type of thing that's really tough to figure out. You see how that one reset on its own though once I put it back up. This one didn't seem to do that. It must the blade must be bent slightly different or something. But we're good now. Okay, and then the bottom one, what did it do? Oh, if they're connected in sequence to make the target relay go on. So like if this one and this one are both down, it makes it be reset. So it's just how they reset them. Okay, so I'll clean all the switches on those 4 and then we'll move on to the next thing. Okay, so here's another one with another problem. On this one, open, closed, open. When it drops, this one stays open. So that ain't right. So we've been the switch. Now it's closed, but we got to make sure that we get the timing right. So when it's all the way up, it's open. Right? You drop it, They're both closed. That one opens. So, just little stuff. We're finding little stuff. So I worked my way up the rest of the playfield, cleaning all of the switches. Everything looked cool. An interesting switch is the ones on the kicker. When you hit the kicker, the rubber ring around the kicker, you connect this switch, which immediately pulls in the coil. The coil pulls in, and this arm is what hits the rubber ring and kicks the ball back away from it, right? But you've got this little switch here that this bar is holding open. When this goes in, that connects, and you get your 10 points or 100 points or whatever it is. So it's common to have these working but not scoring. If they're not scoring, you need to look at this switch here. It should be open and then close whenever it pulls in. If you get it wrong too, if you bend it wrong, it's an easy way for it to. If it's always on, it'll lock on one of your coils. So you know, on these, you need to worry about if a coil gets stuck on, it'll burn up. On a solid state game, if a switch gets stuck, a lot of times the machine will see that it's stuck, but it won't stick a coil on. Sometimes it does, but a lot of times it won't. But on these, if a switch gets stuck, it will almost always short a coil on. Your coil will burn up. So all of the switches seem fine. I cleaned everything I could. Someone had already cleaned the end of stroke switches on this. Okay, we'll get to those here in a minute. They've also replaced all the light bulbs already. Okay, I cleaned the switches on the pop bumpers, but if you saw earlier or on the other videos, they're quite snappy already. So we're down to, we have 6 items left on the whole playfield. Now you might say, how's that possible? Well, we did all the coils. There's another one up there. And then I went around and I cleaned the individual switches. And I just told you I cleaned the kickers. And I cleaned the pops. Right? And we worked on the drop targets. You saw all that. Right? These are switches. It's just simple, same old stuff. Whenever the ball hits the little thing, it should make the 2 switches connect. Clean those. So when you do it piece by piece, little by little, and kind of do it as a system, you run right through everything. So we have 6 things left. We have the 2 bonus units. We have the 2 spinner units. And we have the 2 flippers. And that's it. Now another thing, on these they have spinners. So the spinners are simply a wire connected to a switch that when the spinner spins around, it makes the switch connect down in there, right? On a lot of games, you can put the playfield up and turn it on to test things. You can't on a game with a spinner, though, because what happens is when you put the playfield up, the spinner hangs weird, and it makes the switch connect, and it locks on your point switch again. So we can't turn it on while it's like that. But the spinners, it's literally just adjusting and cleaning that one switch there. And it's a big, long, flimsy switch, so that whenever the spinner spins, that thing pops up and down and connects the switch every time it turns around. Yeah, so next up we're going to work on these spinner units. Now we did one in the back that was the match unit that is basically the same. Your problem on these is you need to really clean these traces here. So you kind of have to take this off to do it. But it's keyed where you can put it on 4 different ways. So you kind of need to turn it to an area where you can tell what's going on. I almost look like charring there. You need to kind of turn it to an area where you can remember to put it back exactly the same. So see how I turned it where one of the little contacts, maybe I can turn it where it's at the screw. Yeah, see the little contact is right next to the screw. So now if I take this off, I can put it back right in the same spot. You can't put it like a little bit off and screw it up, but you can put it a 1/4 turn off. So we've got it pointing towards the screw. When we put it back, it'll be just like that. You have this little clip here. That's like a little spring clip that you need to get a pair of pliers on to squeeze together and pull it straight up, and you can take that off. and then you can get to that board and clean it. But I'm just telling you, this whole little setup is a little, it's a little sketch. So it's easy to screw these up. So you go very careful, and we'll do it just like we did the match unit in the back box, and we'll get it nice and clean again. What that does is one side, one board, lights up the lights on the spinner, which is all these lights, and then the other side makes the math happen. So it's one or the other for the points. So I pop that off. All we're trying to do is clean up this board a little bit to make sure that the little wiper is making good contact with it. Lately I've been using these. Somebody mailed me some of these for free. These are some kind of Japanese product that's used to clean rust stains off of knives. I don't even know what they're called, but it's basically sandpaper, but it's like a rubberized block of sandpaper. It's like a sandpaper eraser, basically. So if you want some of these, I'll show you how they work. They're pretty good for this. You can use sandpaper on it too, though. But you don't want to go too crazy, you know what I mean? You don't want to tear up your traces too much. So if you want some of these, I was able to find them and place them on my website. There's a link to them on Amazon. You can buy them. They're like $5 each or something like that. Now, if you go to our website, lionsarcade.com, anything you buy on there, or if you click, it'll take you to Amazon. Anything you buy after you go to Amazon gives us like 3% or something like that of whatever you buy. So if you buy these, I make like 15 cents. I'm going to get rich off of it. But if you go look at these and then you go, you know what, I don't want to buy these. Let me click over here and buy a kit home. You know, like a Sears and Roebuck's house. They still sell those, right? And you have it shipped to you and it's $30,000. Well, then I would make like $900 or something like that. So we appreciate everybody that's been doing that. So you just do like that, get it cleaned up a little bit. You want to clean this up as well. Just get the contacts nice and clean, right? And then we put synthetic grease on it. We've got this stuff listed on our website too. This stuff works good because it's dielectric. I just ordered some more from myself. But they don't give you the 3% if you order it from yourself, isn't it? It's like they've got me figured out. So that's like 30 cents I lost out on. Oh well. The stuff's so good I ordered it anyway. So we put a little bit of that on there just to give it a little bit of lubrication because it's copper on whatever the contacts are. Metal on metal. And so you want to make sure it's lubricated. So then we'll put it back on there very carefully, exactly how it was, and do the other side, and then do those two as well. See, there's a wheel under as well. Same exact thing. So we'll knock that out, and hopefully that'll get our spinners working really well. Okay, so we've ran into a problem. So when I put it back on, if you notice, it lines up in between two of the plates. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be more towards the middle. Now you can adjust this board, but I don't think that's what's going on. I think somebody picked it up and moved it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 10 traces. Okay? If you were to move it a quarter turn, you would move it 2.5 traces. So I think somebody's moved it, and that's why it's not in the right spot. Now look at this one over here. Now notice that this unit is upside down from this unit. Okay? They're opposite. The left one, right one. Okay, so we're looking at the bottom of this one. Okay? See how the copper's been cleaned at some point? See how it's shinier? So somebody's been in there working on them. This is not, my point is it's not original. Somebody's taking them apart. You can tell because that one's been cleaned. Now look how that one lines up. It is firmly on the contact. the trace, we'll say. Right, so let's get back around. But there they're not. See how it's ending up in the middle? I think they've taken them off and putting them back on in the wrong spot. So if I look at the schematics, the way it works is when the spinner, one of them makes the light move, right? So if you think about it, wherever that one is, it wouldn't really matter. You're just running a light. So that's this one. You can actually tell by the colors of the wires. See how we have an orange and red one, and then a brown and black one, and then a yellow and black one, and a green one. Orange and red, brown and black, green. Okay. So as this one spins around, all that bottom one is doing is lighting up this light, then 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 this light, and this light, and this light, right? Or in whatever order it does it. Probably does it that way. Okay. So this one, as it spins, so as this relay pulls in, it spins around the top and the bottom. So as it spins, it moves a light through. Okay, that's completely unimportant. All you want is for you to see that light so it looks good. Okay, and they have it set up so depending on if you're on 3-ball play or 5-ball play, it advances the bonus. So let me show you that in the schematics. So here's the spinner unit, not to be confused with the bonus unit. This is what we're working on. So this is the right one, the one I was just that I've already cleaned. Okay, so you see one line connects to the voltage and the other one connects to ground or whatever, and as this spins it connects this to a different bulb, and so its whole purpose is to just make the lights light in sequence so that it looks so as the spinner turns, it might turn over 5 times in a second. It's literally that fast, so it might go right. So that's the purpose of one of those little boards. Now the purpose of the board on the other side is, stay with me here, this is power or whatever, I guess that's ground, and then this is power. This is the right advance relay if the right spinner relay is pulled in. Okay. So the right spinner unit, look, it has 2 connections and then a third one if you're on 3-ball. If you're set on 5-ball, it doesn't connect. So why is that? It's because they're making it where you can score more points on 3-ball than you can on 5-ball. So they're crippling the machine if you're on 5-ball. They don't want you to be able to, or they're beefing up the score on 3-ball, just basically trying to balance it and make it more fair, right? But anyway, my point is, every 3 or 4 contacts, you connect ground through the right spinner relay to the advance relay. Okay, so the advance relay, what does it do? It makes the bonus unit step up. So now instead of 5,000 points, now you've got 10,000 points. Now you got 15,000 points, right? So if this isn't connected, it does it at position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then again at position 9. So as the lights go up, let's say this is the first light, when it gets to the light 5, it will turn it on. It'll give you an advance. And when it gets to light 9, it will give you an advance. Because this is spinning on as the light bulbs on the other board are coming on, right? But really, if you add in this third one, it's like at number 3, and then at number 6, and number 10, or whatever, right? So here's the other contact. This is what's spinning around as it spins. Really, it's not super critical that they line up, right? So if I had it set where this is the first bulb, because I had the thing on in the wrong spot, then it would be that when the second bulb lights up, you get a ball. And then when the 6th bulb lights up, you get an advance bonus. And then when the 6th bonus lights up, it advances the bonus. And then it went back around 7, 8. When it gets to the 9th one, it lights up. So it's not super important. It would just mean that as the spinner spins and lights up the lights, at a different light, it would give you the bonus. And keep in mind, too, that the lights don't stay on. There's only one on at a time. So it's not like you'd be getting a bonus on when it's only built up to number 2. No, the second light would be on and you get a bonus. So my whole point is, you can try to line this up, and I think it matters on certain things. Like in the match relay, the match one in the back, it definitely mattered. Because if the 30 bulb is lit up, you want it to match at 30 points. So one side is lighting up the bulb, and so it's up to 30, bulb 3. You want the other one to correspond to that and give you what it's supposed to give you at 30. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to line these up, but I don't know that I can, but I'm going to try to. So what I'm going to try to do is turn it so that the other one is on the final bulb. Right? And then I'm going to try to turn it so that this one is also touching the final post, but it's going to be kind of hard to do that because of the way the wiring is. So it looks like it's a, what color wire is this? Yellow wire. So this is a yellow wire that will connect to pin 3 maybe. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it'll connect to 3, 6, and 10. There should be a yellow wire connected to those traces. If I put the thing on 10, or it may be easier to tell what 3 is or whatever, I just need to line it up, and then I can line the other one up with the wire colors, and that should get it where only one light's lighting at a time, and it's landing nicely in the middle of the trace instead of in between 2 traces and giving us all kinds of crap. Yep. Come on, people. Come on now. Come on, people. We got to do better than this. So here's our board. You can see it pretty good. So look what we've got here. Okay. So we've got one wire down here on the end, and look how they have it soldered in. See the trace that runs around, and then let me get it to turn. Maybe you can see it better. Can you see that there's a, I'm having a little issue showing you because everything's on top of each other. But can you see how that last trace goes around and then goes between the other traces? That's because that's the common, so it's going in there to the middle. So that's the one that moves, like on the schematics how it shows the wiper, you know, that goes from post to post to post. And so it connects with that little horseshoe to whatever it's set on. So if I turn it around to there, which is ironically where we were talking about it being set anyway. So it's right between 2 of the traces, and if you look, they run over here to what's labeled as number 5 and number 6. You know, I don't always trust numbers like this because these are generic boards they use for other stuff. But it does appear that it's in position 5 and position 6 like we were looking in the schematics. Okay, so look, they have a wire soldered at the common, and then they have one on position 3, right? And then they have one on position 6, and then there is a jumper over to position 10, just like we were just looking at in the schematics. Okay, this wire is where they're pulling power off of this to make some lights light up. Don't worry about it. So we're between position 5 and 6. So we're either on position 5 or position 6 as we sit. So what that means is we should be on light 5 or 6, right? Well, if you look here, this is the lights bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So one of these 2 should be lit up. So it should be black and red and black and blue. And then there's a black and orange after it. So if you look, black and red, black and blue, and then black and orange. So down on the bottom, here's the black and red trace. Goes to there. And then the next one goes to there. So the little horseshoe should be either touching this one or that one. And it is not. It's nowhere near it. So someone's taken it apart and put it back together wrong. And I caught it. Nice try, whoever did that 20 years ago, but I caught you. You didn't fool me. I knew. I could tell. Come on, people. You can't put it back. I just said, Come on, people, come on now. Whenever I did the video, I showed you that you gotta put it where it went and then put it right back. Come on now, I showed you that. Why didn't you do that? Come on, people. It ain't never going to work right if you take the little horseshoe off and you turn it around and then you don't put it back. Come on now. You can't do it like that. Come on now, people. Alright, so all we got to do is turn one of them to where we can tell where it's supposed to be, and then turn the other one and getting them lined up again. And this sucker's going to work like it ain't worked in 20 years. Man, it's going to be amazing watching those spinners spin. Alright, so you may not be able to see it very well, but I turned it a little bit. This last one is the common. Position 4 is where it's at right now. So I cleaned it and put it back on. Do you see how it's right in the center of the trace? And then I took the top one off and put it back on. Here's the common. Position 1, 2, 3, 4. Bam! It's right in the middle of the position 4 trace. That's right. That's right, people. We aligned it. Look at that. Look how great it looks. It already looks better. I'm going to rewind the video and see if it was lighting up two lights at a time. I bet it was. So I looked at the footage and I didn't see that I ever got the spinner thing to move. So, but they were lined up in the middle and now they're not. So I think we're good. This one was off as well. They were on this one. Both of them are off. They spun so that they landed in between each time. You know, now that I think about it, though, I don't know how. Yeah, that would work. So yeah, it was in between like every time, the top one and the bottom. But I got them good now, I believe. So now we're on to, we've got the two bonus units. That's the right one. That's the left one. And then we've got 2 flippers that we have to mess with. I'm trying to make sure that I'm correct with which one's the left and the right. Yeah. See the wiring for the lights here? That wiring is running to here. So that's definitely the left unit. This is definitely the right. Usually they have a little label on them, but time has taken the labels from us. Okay, so this is a genius little design. This is a stepper unit with 3 coils on it. Very unique. I don't know when Williams started doing this, but it's really cool. So it's the traditional one where if this coil pulls in, it steps a little lever steps the gear forward. See, it's moving one position at a time. Okay. So what that's going to do is advance your bonus. So it may from 1 to 10 or whatever it is, right? So it's advancing your bonus up. So it's not just the light bulb, but remember, it also has to do the math. So it has to make it where whenever the game is over, whenever the ball is over and it counts the bonus, that it can tell where it's at, right? So it gives you the right amount of points. So this one steps it up. Okay. And then this one resets it. So this coil resets it. So watch, it pulls it in and it reset at one position. Okay. So at the end of the game it will do that. It'll go right, one position. Now why does it do it at one position? There's nothing on it to make you lose 2 bonus points or 2 bonus steps or whatever. It's so that it can count it. So as the score motor's turning, a switch is closing that's going to give you points for each step of this that you're on. And it actually is 5,000 points, I believe, isn't it? Yeah. So 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and that's probably it. Right? So that's how it works. So it gives you 5,000 points, and it after this spins around to its home position again, it takes one increment off, and then it spins around again, and if you're still not at 0, it gives you another 5,000 points, and then takes one off, and then it spins around, and if you're still not at 0, it gives you another 5,000 points. Okay, so when it gets all the way back to 0, so one of these switches is going to keep the score motor running, right? or one of the something. They're going to have some way to keep the score motor running until this gets back to 0. Okay, and whenever this gets all the way back, this little bar here is going to hit these switches. Okay, so that's 0. Okay, so to open that one, and it changed that one from connected here to connected here. Right, so that one is open. You can barely tell, but the metal blade is touching this small blade, not this small blade. And then this one is open clearly. Okay. Now when you step it back up, so you get it off the first position to the next position, now this one is closed, and this one is touching the left blade, but not the right blade. Okay. So that's how it can tell when it's what position it's in, right? But here's why they need the third coil. Watch this. So let's say you step it all the way up. If this coil pulls in, see this bar here? If that coil's in, when this coil hits, the whole thing resets. Awesome! So let's say it's got 6 steps on it, and that coil pulls in. Whenever this one hits, it goes all the way back to 0. So what makes this coil pull in? So we're looking at the right bonus unit. So this is the one that makes it move up, right? And so it can be done by a bunch of things: the eject relay, the right advance relay, the out hole relay. So whenever the ball lands in the out hole and the motor's turning, it makes it go down 1 step. All right. I got that wrong. Out hole relay. This is normally closed, so that would close when the ball was sitting in the out hole. So at the beginning of the game, it steps it up. Aha! Aha! So we should start at the first light. So you'll start with some score, because the out hole relay at the beginning of the game, or at the beginning of the ball, is going to step it up at least one position. Okay, so that's the right bonus step up. There is also the right bonus relay, but then up here, right bonus reset. So that's the one that takes it down 1 step at a time. So what makes it do that? The score motor, a switch on the score motor. When the out hole relay is pulled in, right? So the ball lands in the out hole. Eventually, it pulls in the out hole relay. This switches over to here, and then as the motor turns, the right bonus unit resets. Okay, and then here's the right bonus total reset coil. So that's the extra one, the third one we were looking at with the big bar. The reset relay pulls it in. So when the game's resetting at the very beginning of the game, the reset relay comes on, and it pulls that little thing in, and then whenever this hits, it makes sure it resets it all the way back to 0. So why are they doing that? It's in case you, basically whenever you end the ball on the game, it should count your bonus. But if you were to turn the game off in the middle of the game and then back on, you would start with 6,000, 30,000 points or whatever. So it does that just to ensure that at the very beginning of the game, it resets everything all the way back to 0, just to make sure. And then after it does that, the out hole relay, wherever we were, the out hole relay, as the motor turns, will step up the right bonus unit and the left bonus unit. 1 step. So you start with a good little 5,000 points on there, I suppose, if that's what the first position is. Okay, so anyway, so we've got that. We've got those switches. We got to clean. We have to make sure that they open at 0. Oh, I guess I should show you that. So what are the switches on the relay? Right bonus unit, 0 position switch. So this one opens, right? Or this is the one that goes back and forth. We had this all figured out in a previous video. It has to do with how the So the out-hole switch, that's where the ball lands in the out-hole. And then the alternator relay, let's say it's on the right bonus unit, so it would be over here. Okay. If you're, it's closed at 0 position. So when it closes the right bonus relay, or whatever. I keep getting this backwards. It may go this way to turn on the out-hole relay. It's one or the other. But anyway, it basically, whenever it gets back to 0, that should open. Or it goes one way or the other. Right? But you should, as long as you have it where when it gets to 0, it changes state. It should work as intended. This thing is incredibly complex. And all of the relays and the switches kind of go over the top of each other to make different things happen in different sequences so that it all works and counts right and all of that. But I think we've got it right. But we need to look at cleaning the disc on the other side. When you've got a big open disc like this where there's only 4 wipers on it, it's really easy to clean because you can just clean all of the rivets, most of them are exposed, and then move it a little bit and clean the ones that were underneath the arms. So same thing, use a little bit of sandpaper or a little bit of that stone that I was talking about, and then move it a little bit and clean them, and then put a little bit of synthetic grease on it just to lubricate it a little bit, and that should be all that you need to do. So it appears whenever we were playing that it was always using the left bonus relay. It never switched over to the right one. And we think maybe that alternating relay down at the bottom was the reason for that because it wasn't working right. So this one was the one that was giving us the trouble. Now if you look at it, notice how we've got the same thing with the spider. It's in between 2 rivets. So why would that be? Well, look where the thing is. It's this big old freaking bonus unit right on the front of the playfield, and if you look, it looks like it's been twisted this way, right? Why would that be? Well, see that? It's because somebody has laid it down on the front of the cabinet, and just the weight of it has twisted that board a little bit. But it's not that big of a deal. If you look real close, there is a screw right there and right there to adjust it. But the thing is, if it twisted on its own, the screws are probably loose enough that you can twist it back. Was wrong is now right. All right. So let's see what we got here. That's all the way up. Okay. Now on your last, whenever you get back to 0, a lot of times it won't completely line up. So you really need to kind of line it up on one that's not 0. One in the middle might be a good one to line it up on. And you saw how hard I had to turn it to tighten it, to move it. We can tighten up those screws, but it's probably not going to make it hold any better. So, that's that. Now, whenever we worked on it before, we looked in the schematics in that area that we were just looking in, and it looked like one of these switches up here had a lot to do with it. But that delay relay that we were looking at in the bottom seems to have been a big problem too. It's right involved with that. So we've already adjusted these switches on video 1, and it looks to me like they are perfect. This one goes back and forth. And see how both of the small ones move as it does it? And then this one closes and touches. But we need to get it back to 0 and see how it looks like whenever the machine does it. Okay, so here's the final position. Okay, so look, this is open. And this one opened, but this one may not have touched. Yeah, I don't think it did. Hear how you can hear it? That's the sound of it hitting together because they're open. I didn't quite get it. So when I just moved that, I made it worse because I made it where it stays closed. You got to get the spacing just right. There is a little tool you can use to bend these. Okay, so it's open now, so let's try that again. Okay, so this is the second to last position, and that's the last position. So it's open that one, it's open that one, and it's now shut that one pretty good. So we're going to try that and see if that does it. I think that might get it. I think we might be good. Okay, so that's our 2 spinner units and our 2 bonus units. The flippers we need to look at because they were dragging. So let's check that out. These are the flipper bats. Now, see that little metal shoulder there? And then see how the plastic shoe is down lower than that? So that little metal shoulder sometimes needs a washer on it. I'm going to look and see if the original Williams ones needed washers. I think these could have just been mounted without a washer, and that's why they were dragging. These are the bushings, but they're not broke or anything. They're in great shape. So unless the entire top of them somehow got worn down, that shouldn't be the problem. I think the whole problem is that there's supposed to be a washer on here. But we're going to look it up. I'm going to see if I can find any kind of evidence of when it's supposed to have the washer and when it shouldn't. This is the bushing I just took out of the playfield. You see the dirt in it. This is a brand new one. Okay. They are identical. And this is the part that sticks through the playfield. It is fine. Usually you don't have. Usually, if you need to replace this, you can see from the bottom there'll be a big crack in it. They crack a lot, or somebody's damaged it. You'll see that it's got problems. So this one, if you look at the top of the playfield, it sticks up above the playfield, which is how it's supposed to. Right? It's fine. So there must have been some kind of washer that went on top of it. I've taken them off before on some of the older EMs, and they have a washer there. So I don't know if an operator added that or not, but I think in this instance, it seems to me that it's obvious that you have to have that. So this is the new one. That entire lip there does not stick above the playfield. It's about half of it. Right? So you can see you're real close to dragging if half of that is above the playfield. A little washer will help you a little bit. So I think we're going to put a washer on it. You can also see that the actual shoe is bent a little bit. See how the metal plate in there? One of them's called the boot and one of them's called the shoe or something like that. Or the foot and the shoe, I think. I think this is the shoe and that's the foot, obviously. But if you look, see how it's not in there, it's sunk too far at the end there. So we might have to try to straighten that a little bit. Okay, so like we were talking, that shaft isn't, the little plate in there isn't even with the shoe. Okay. So looking through my part stash, I found some washers that fit it perfectly that I believe I may have taken off of other machines. If you install that washer, it makes it smooth. Okay. This is how Williams did them later on. So Williams logo, Motorola logo. Look, it's flush. So if that were to sit on the bearing, the bushing, it would be at the correct height. The bushing just barely fits above the playfield. So if you put a washer on it, it sticks up just enough where it's perfect. So for instance, see, it's perfect. Doesn't drag, got just a little bit of play, and that's with the washer on it. If I put the one on over here with no washer, were scraping. I mean, it's got to be that these were supposed to have a washer. That's the correct bushing. Looked it all up. It's just barely sticking above the playfield. They must have had a washer. Now, I looked in the parts manual. It shows that bushing, that setup, but it does not show a washer. But it doesn't really show it exploded. It's all together. So, I don't know. It's a mystery, but I'll tell you what. The things drag without a washer, and they don't drag with a washer, so I'm definitely putting on a washer. So we're going to do that and make sure that they're nice and elevated, because for all this time they've been scraping the playfield, which we had to repair whenever we did our playfield repaint videos. Go back and check that out if you didn't see it. So I'm going to put washers on it, pop it on there. I mean, I don't know. To me, it just seems strange that I have the correct washer used in my part stash, and that's exactly how I remember I've seen them when they come out. Look at how perfect that fits. That's the same damn washer. I'll guarantee you that came off of a Williams flipper. I can tell, people. I can tell. Now I know that's a standard 1/4-inch washer, but still, I'm positive that came off of one of these, and it's going right back on it too. Okay, folks, so we got them back on there. I think everything's cool. We're going to see if we fixed anything by going under the playfield like that. It may still have issues. Now, you know, we always do a video where we track down all of the problems and troubleshoot everything using the schematics and everything. We've been doing a little bit of that as we go along, but there's probably still problems, right? So, but we'll see if that fixed our particular problem with the bonus relay, or the bonus countdown, bonus unit. One of these spinners is right there. I don't know if you can see it. It's lit up on 1, 2, 3, light 5. This one's lit up on light 4. Our flippers are not dragging. We're in game over. Everything looks cool. Let's see. Alright, it popped up all 4 pop bumpers. Look at the bonuses. They're both at 5,000. Huh? What do you think? Did you see what just happened? We just scored the bonus and it reset it right. Okay, here we go. And you hear the bells, the chimes, boom, 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 5,000 points, right? It says ball 2. But look, it didn't switch over to the right bonus. Wow, watch her rip. Wow, watch her rip. That's so cool. Boy, she's loud too. It'll be all right. Whoa, I barely hit it. I don't know if that's... Oh, okay. That said double bonus when lit. So the reason that was counting differently and ringing differently is because it was scoring 10,000 at a time, which it can do with the 10,000 point relay. I was wondering what was going on. These lights didn't light up, so that might be a thing. Like I said, we're going to have to do a whole other video just fixing stuff that's still broke. Look, folks. It takes forever. Look, I mean, you know, come on. I can't fix it all in one video. Ball 4. I think those should be lit. There's probably a switch on there somewhere. that isn't connecting that's supposed to light those bulbs. But I don't know if it's actually going to score this side. So we need to try to run this one up just to see if it actually scores it. Yep, okay, so look, it is running it up. Oh, well, that's because of the light up top. So at the end of the ball, let's see if it's going to score this right one or not. It did. Okay, so basically all that's going on is the lights just aren't lighting up. Could even be the bulbs are burnt out. All right, very cool. All right, folks. So it ended the game. It played all 5 balls. The ball is no longer just sitting there at the end of the bonus countdown. So it's working pretty cool. So we'll do another video where we actually troubleshoot whatever's left. Make sure to give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. Make sure to check out my brother Donnie, which is our brother channel here. If you like watching us work on these old pinball machines, you may enjoy watching us work on old buildings. My brother Donnie and I have bought a couple buildings in a small town near here that we are fixing up. And one last thing, by the way, one of our viewers, her name is Caitlin or Caitlin. I don't know. I can't really tell by the way it's spelled. She loves it whenever we turn off the lights. She replies in every one of our videos. And just then, Joe said, turn off the lights. All right, we're going to turn off the lights for you. So there you go. So thank you, everybody, for watching it. Make sure to give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. And we'll see you on the next video.